Hello everyone and welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be sharing with you quite a few new in items. I have a fabric order that has come in that I'm really excited to share with you what I plan to be sewing with in the future. I have a couple of new yarns and I also have a few new books that I've picked up on a recent trip to the used bookstore. So I'm going to start with the fabrics. All of these fabrics are from Nick of Time Textiles. I recently made a video about how unfortunately Joann is closing all of their locations in the United States and shared some online shops that are good alternatives for ordering fabric from. So I thought it would be fun to try a new to me fabric store. So that is Nick of Time Textiles. I believe they're located in Pennsylvania. They recently had a really big sale where the majority of their fabrics were like 45% off. So I have a few fabrics from them to share with you, and then I have, as I mentioned, a couple of yarns for spring knitting projects, so I will dive into the knitting content after the sewing, and then I will include the book haul at the end. I know that some of you are avid readers, as am I, and so if you're interested in the book content, I will put that at the end of the video. If you're new here, my name's Rebecca. I love sharing with you guys the process of sewing and knitting my handmade wardrobe and all things slow fashion. So if those are interests of yours as well, please do consider hitting that subscribe button below so that you don't miss out on any of my future content. And yeah, go ahead and grab yourself a tea. I'm just gonna get into it. This might be a little bit of a longer video, but yeah, just gonna show you what I've purchased recently. Okay, so first up, I decided to order a couple yards of different colors of their t-shirt fabric. I have ordered t-shirt fabric from a few different stores, and while I'm okay with the quality, I haven't really found one yet that I love. And these were all on sale for, I believe, around $4 a yard. So I got 4 different colors. I ordered 1 yard of each. They're all 100% cotton, which is really great. Some of the t-shirt fabrics that I've ordered before have a little bit of stretch to them, and I don't really prefer that. So yeah, I got 4 yards, 1 yard of each color of their 100% cotton jersey, and these are all, I believe, a 5.5 ounce. So first up, I got this beautiful kind of sky blue color. Not dissimilar from what I'm wearing today. I really love kind of a light, cool blue tone. I think it suits me really well, and so yeah, I have a yard of this. I also got just a classic white. I will say that I was a little bit concerned about the weight of the fabric and the white being transparent, and I'll hold it up here for you. I think it is a little bit, but not dangerously so. So, I mean, yeah. So it is a little bit transparent, but I will be making a more relaxed fit t-shirt. This isn't going to be super tight next to skin, so I think it'll be okay. So yes, I've got the blue, I've got the white, very classic colors. And then I also got kind of a heathered gray, and this one feels like maybe it's a little bit lighter than the others, a little bit more drapey. So that one has a little bit more drape to it, whereas I think that the other 3 are a little bit more structured. I haven't washed any of these yet. I will definitely pre-wash the fabrics before making the garments, but just before pre-wash, I would say that this one, the gray, is a little bit more fluid, a little bit thinner, and has more drape to it. And these feel a little bit more structured, which is interesting. And then a fun little punch of red. I also purchased a red. So I think that these colors are all really consistent with what I like to wear. I wear a lot of neutrals, a lot of blues and grays, and then a little pop of red is always really fun. So yeah, these are my t-shirt fabrics. So as I mentioned, I purchased 1 yard of each of these fabrics, and I plan to make 4 t-shirts. I have made quite a few t-shirts in the past. They're fine, but I don't love them. I don't love how they have washed and worn, and I think in part, maybe that's my fault because I do regularly put my t-shirts through the washing machine and the dryer, and I don't necessarily do that with all of my other handmade items. Some I do, but for instance, with things like the jeans that I make or the linen button-up shirts or even the cotton shirts, honestly, I tend to wash them in the washing machine and then hang them to dry just because I know that that preserves the quality of them and the lifespan of them for much longer. And I'm also not opposed to giving things a steam or an iron if they need it. So I feel like generally I take pretty good care of my handmade items. For whatever reason with t-shirts, probably just because the frequency at which they need to be washed, they just go in the washer and dryer quite often. And so maybe that's part of it. Maybe it's a fabric quality thing. As I said, some of the t-shirts I've made before, the fabrics have contained a little bit of like spandex. So maybe that's kind of led to their aging, but I'm hopeful for these fabrics. I like the weight of them. I like that they're 100% cotton. And at about, $4 or $5 a pop, I think t-shirts get a lot of wear and they wear out. So I'm looking forward to having 4 crisp, fresh, 100% cotton t-shirts in my wardrobe, and I will definitely keep you updated with how they wash, how they wear. I think I'm going to be using the Sage Tee pattern, which is by LB Textiles. I have quite a few t-shirt patterns kind of in my arsenal, or in my pattern collection. I have quite a few t-shirt patterns, and I've tried quite a few t-shirt patterns, but I always go back to the Sage Tee. I really like that, probably because it's a men's or unisex pattern. The sleeves are longer and I like the cut of it, I like the fit, so I think I'm going to be making the Sage Tee with these fabrics. I might change my mind after making a couple and mix it up, but as I said, I will keep you updated. So those were the first 4 fabrics. Next up, I have a navy and white striped shirting fabric. So this is also 100% cotton, and I purchased 2 yards of this. So I plan to make a long sleeve kind of relaxed fit button-up shirt. In one of my recent kind of making plans videos, I mentioned that while I have made a lot of button-up shirts, I don't actually have a striped one. And stripes are just so classic. Obviously, I love blue and white. The combination works really well together and with a lot of other neutrals. And I think it'll get a lot of wear in the spring and summer months in particular. It's quite a lightweight cotton. It'll be really breathable. And I think it's just a really classic stripe. I like that the stripes aren't too big or too narrow. So I'm really pleased with this. I didn't get a physical receipt in the box, which is interesting. Sometimes, that's helpful, but I have my digital receipt here on my phone so I can tell you the information. But this is just called Navy White Nautical Stripe Shirting. And as I mentioned, I got 2 yards. It was 45% off. So the total cost for those 2 yards was $14.26. Worth noting, all of those t-shirt fabrics were $4.38 each. So really affordable. I feel like $14 for a nice 100% cotton button-up shirt is really, really good price. As I said, everything was like half off. So yeah, I'm really pleased with this. I really like how it feels. Again, I haven't washed it yet, but it's really kind of silky and cool to the touch. It feels like it's going to be a really nice cotton shirt. For the pattern, I'm thinking about using I'm sort of between 2 patterns that I'm considering using. I've been making quite a few Modern Sewing Company unisex shirts recently, and I really like those because all of the seams are felled, so everything is finished really cleanly on the inside of the shirt. But I'm also considering the Closet Cord Jenna shirt because I really like the scooped curved hem. So I'm kind of between, I'm leaning towards the unisex shirt, but those are the 2 patterns that I'm considering for this fabric. So the next 2 fabrics are both of the same composition, the same fabric type, and on the website they call it Resilisoft, like resilient, Resilisoft, Resilisoft Twill shirting or suiting. Yeah, Rosilla Soft Twill shirting. Anyway, so I was interested in this fabric because it was in the shirting and suiting categories, and being a cotton blend, I thought it would be a really nice option for kind of spring, summertime makes. And I got 3 yards of each of these colors, and the total cost for those 3 yards was $11.97, so it was really discounted. I think the normal price is like $10 a yard. So the first is just black. It feels like a cool, crisp cotton twill. It does say it's a cotton blend. Again, I'm not sure what the blend is or what the percentages are. That wasn't clear, but I figured 3 yards of fabric for less than $12, I would give it a shot. I have not pre-washed this yet. I'm really pleased with it so far. So I got the black, and then I also got this kind of stone gray color. I really like this gray. It's not too yellowy. I feel like sometimes when you get a heathered gray, it can lean sort of like warm tone, yellowy gray. This has a cooler undertone to it, which I really like. So I'm debating what I'm going to make with these 2 fabrics. As I said, I got 3 yards of each of them, and I believe it's quite wide, like a 60-inch wide, so I have quite a bit of each of these fabrics. And my initial thought was that I could make like a boiler suit, sort of a jumpsuit, but I've made one of those before and I don't actually wear it that much. Honestly, I think it's just the inconvenience of getting in and out of it keeps me from wearing it as often as I thought that I would. So I think I've put the jumpsuit, boiler suit idea kind of on the back burner for now. And I think it would be really fun to make kind of like a light spring jacket where I could have a lining and make this fabric a little more substantial. Either of these would also make really nice trousers, like a tailored trouser. And I have enough of each of these that I might be able to make more than one garment. Because it's so wide, I might be able to do like a matching set maybe. So let me know if you have any thoughts. I really like this gray color. I think that the twill weave makes it look a little bit more casual, and I like the kind of heathered color to it. And then of course a black twill is just really classic. So yeah, I'm kind of thinking light spring jacket with a lining and pants. Let me know if you have any like strong opinions or good pattern ideas. Initially I thought, oh, I could use the Fran blazer pattern that I already have, but I don't know that I want a shoulder pad. I don't think I want to go for that level of jacket. More like a shirt jacket might be fun. And then, as I said, some pleated trousers maybe. So I was just really excited about the price and the fact that I could get 3 yards of really wide cotton twill, and it's springtime. So yeah, I'm thinking pants and a lightweight jacket. Let me know if you have any strong opinions or good ideas for the patterns. I apologize if there's a little bit of a scratch to my voice. Having a preschooler go through their first year of school, I feel like we've had a cold every other week, so I do apologize. So the final 3 items from my Nick of Time order are all denim, and this was sort of where I started my order, what I was most excited about when I found their website and began to look through the fabrics that they had available. They had quite a bit of made for Wrangler and made in the US denim that was like dead stock, 100% cotton, heavy weight, like 13-14 ounce. So I had a look through all the denim available, and as I mentioned, it was all really discounted. I think the discounted price ended up being about $7 a yard for me with the sale that they had going. So I purchased 3 different denims, 2 yards of each, and they were all from the 100% cotton made for Wrangler dead stock section. And I got 3 different weights. So there's a 12 ounce, a 12.5 ounce, and a 13 ounce. And I was just really excited to find high quality denim at such an affordable price point. So while I don't have concrete plans for each yard of this fabric, I knew it was a really good deal, and I was really excited to grab some while it was at such a discounted price. I will say that they're all indigo blues. You know, there's a little bit of variation, so I'll just go ahead and show you. But they all feel like raw denim to me. It does not feel like this denim has been washed or softened in any way, so I think I'm going to treat it as such. So this is the 12 ounce, and as I said, it feels like a raw denim. Because it is lighter weight, I mean 12 ounce is perfectly acceptable for jeans or something like that, but of the denims that I got, this is the lightest weight. It does have a little bit of drape to it. It has that really nice deep blue, even indigo dye. There's no fading. Or maybe I can show you a close-up. So this is just a really classic, nice, deep indigo blue denim. As I said, I got 2 yards of each of these. They're all really wide, I think 66 inches or 60 inches depending on the denim. So this is the 12.5 ounce denim, and that being such a small difference in weight, this one is noticeably stiffer and heavier. Let me show you how. Woo. So this one definitely feels like a raw denim. If you've ever worked with raw denim before, or, you know, purchased like the Levi shrink to fits or anything like that, it's very stiff. It's like, could it stand up on its own? Possibly, because I don't think that it has been washed or softened at all. Whereas the first one had much more drape, so maybe it has been. The website did not specify if these are raw denims, but I'm just going off of feel and personal experience. This feels like a raw denim. And then the back of this is interesting to note as well. The weave is different. The first one has the traditional diagonal weave that a lot of you are probably familiar with if you've worked with denim or just looking at your own jeans. Most denim has this diagonal weave to it. If you can see the kind of diagonal, I'm sure that that's visible probably. Yeah. Compared to this one. Maybe I could put those side by side. Hopefully that'll show up. So the diagonal weave is typical of like Levi's, for example. And when I made my videos about the shrink to fits, they're raw denim jeans, and my experience with them having the side seam twist to the front of the leg a little bit with multiple wears and washes, I had a few people comment and say that that was because of the diagonal weave that Levi's jeans use, and that was like a signature of their denim, that it featured that twist because of the diagonal weave. So I'm not an authority, but I think that that's really interesting. And then also, Wrangler typically does not have that pronounced diagonal weave. So all of these denims said that they were made for Wrangler. Obviously, there's probably some variety in their production, and I can't speak to knowing exactly what their methods are for each of their different designs, but typically Wrangler does not have such a pronounced diagonal weave. They actually have something much closer to this. I've watched videos that others have made comparing Wrangler and Levi denim, and the consensus seems to be that Wrangler denim is actually stronger, that it's like a tougher fabric, but a lot of people like the aesthetic of the diagonal weave, so just something to note. I think it's interesting that I got a little bit of both in this order. So this is the last one. This is the 13.5 ounce, the heaviest of the denims that I got. This has a very pronounced diagonal weave as well. I'm sure you can see even just from the front. But also very much on the back. So the made for Wrangler specification doesn't necessarily mean that all of the denim is going to be a certain way. So this one's 100% cotton. It feels really stiff. It doesn't feel like it's been washed. Yeah. So basically, I'm just really excited that I found 100% cotton, indigo dyed, I believe to be raw denim at such a good price. It was about $7 a yard. 3 different denims. The total cost for the 2 yards each, 2 of them were 16 and 1 of them was 14. So $7 or $8 a yard I feel like is really affordable for a nice high quality 100% cotton denim. And I love making jeans. I love sewing with denim. I will probably make some of this fabric into jeans or into a jacket. There's plenty here to work with. I'm not in a rush to sew it all up really quickly. It was just something that it's hard to find affordable, high quality denim, and I'm really pleased that I got some. They also have a selection of denims that are made in the US. I think one of the remaining denim mills is in Pennsylvania, and so they probably get offcuts from them being located there. I'm not sure. I'm not 100% certain about that, but I would imagine that's what's happening. So yeah, those are all of the fabrics that I ordered from Nick of Time Textiles. I will say that while I am very impressed with the quality of the fabric, everything is cut really nicely, which isn't always the case. It did take quite a while to receive my fabric. It took a few weeks, and I would imagine that's because they were having such a huge discounted sale on all of their fabrics. They were probably inundated with a lot of orders. I get it. I was willing to wait. I wasn't in a hurry for any of this, but I'm very pleased with the quality. I would definitely order from them again. I will note that when I was browsing the website and adding items to cart, the shipping was quite expensive if you didn't hit their free shipping barrier, which was either $90 or $100. My order total was just around the $100 mark, and I did hit that free shipping barrier. But if I just added like one shirting fabric to the cart, the shipping was like $16 or something. So something to consider. I'm assuming it's based on weight. I'm not sure how they calculate their shipping costs, but hitting that free shipping barrier took a significant chunk, like $40 or something, off of my cart. So something to consider. I don't know if I would order from them if I just wanted 1 or 2 yards of a t-shirt fabric. I would not be willing to pay $16 or $20 to have that shipped, you know? But if you are willing to spend up to that free shipping barrier, I think it's worthwhile. Also worth noting, I did not get in my package any sort of paper like receipt or label on the fabric. So I'm glad that I kept my digital receipt so that I could reference everything and remember the composition and things like that. Sometimes it's nice when they will label individually, particularly with these denims. I'm able to tell which one is the lightest and the heaviest, of course, but if you ordered a variety of denims, it would be helpful if they were individually labeled. So that's also something to note. Keep your digital receipt so you can remember exactly the fabric composition of each of the ones that you ordered. So overall, a really good experience ordering from them. As I said, it took a little bit, but the quality seems to be really good. I will, of course, keep you updated as I wash and sew and wear all of these fabrics, but first impression, really, really good. Okay, so now I'm going to show you 2 new yarns that I have acquired recently and the projects that I'm planning to knit with said yarns for this upcoming spring summer season. So this order I made from Webs, which is yarn.com. I have found to be a good source for Cascade 220, which is what I ordered. So Cascade 220 typically I find online for anywhere from like $12 to $18 depending on who you're buying it from and the color and the quantity. So I was really happy to find Cascade 220 on yarn.com on sale for $8.57 per skein, which is really good. So these two colors were discounted because they were like on closeout, so it was kind of the end of the amount that they had for these two colors, and that's why they were cheaper. So I don't know if I can link the exact colors, but I can let you know that the first, this is called Greystone Heather. Again, it's Cascade 220. Let's see. It's a really beautiful heathered gray, and it's really, really soft. Obviously, it's 100% wool, 100% Peruvian Highland wool, and 100 grams get you 220 yards, hence the Cascade 220. And I purchased 4 of these heathered gray skeins, and my intention for the gray colorway is to make the Cocoon Chucky, I believe is how you say it. So this is a slip over pattern designed by Noriko Ichikawa. I really apologize if I'm mispronouncing these names, but I will link the pattern below and put a picture here for you. It's a really nice oversized slip over, and I love the gray sample, and I thought this would be perfect for that. I love having a slip over in the spring or even cooler summer evenings because it's really easy to layer over whatever you already have on underneath just for a little bit more warmth, but because it's got the shorter sleeves and it's oversized, it's just a really cozy layer. I love a slip over. I've made a couple of them, and I think what I like about this one is how relaxed the collar and the sleeve openings are. I think it's going to make it a lot easier to just throw on over whatever you've got underneath, whereas I found that in the past when I've made slipovers that have a more fitted collar or more fitted armholes, it's not as easy to just throw on. So I think having the relaxed neckline and kind of an oversized fit, this will be a really practical item. But I also think the design is just so beautiful, and it's a really modern silhouette, and I really, really love the way that the samples look on Ravelry. So I'll include some pictures here, but I think that's my plan for this heathered gray yarn. I think that'll be really lovely, and I think a gray is a really good option for a layering piece because it goes with everything. I think that sometimes I default to black as a neutral, but black doesn't always work as well with like brighter colors or patterns. I think gray goes really well with all of the blues and blacks in my wardrobe, but also with those pops of red. I think it'll be a really lovely addition to my collection of hand knits. So I got 4 of these, and the total for that was $34.28, which is a really great deal, I think. So I also got 4 skeins of this lovely deep blue. This is called Midnight Heather, and it does say that it was discontinued, so I don't know if I can link the exact color, at least on yarn.com. You might be able to find it elsewhere, but it's just a really lovely deep navy blue. Again, I love gray and blue. I think they work so well together and with everything else in my wardrobe, and I wanted to make another sort of spring layer, so I had slipovers in mind, and I think where I've settled is the Lulu slipover by Petite Knit, but I really like the silhouette of that one. I like how deep the kind of armhole is, and I like the little button details on the sides. I think that having the Cocoon slipover and the Lulu slipover in like relatively neutral colors, I think one of those would work with most of the outfits that I would be wearing. I really like the way that they're so different, but they would serve a similar purpose, and I have a desire to knit slipovers at this point. I think over the winter time I made a lot of sweaters, and at this weight of yarn, knitting a slipover will go relatively quickly, so I'm excited to have 2 kind of quicker projects that I'll be able to knit up and then get a lot of wear of this spring season. And yeah, I think I've made a lot of sweaters, so I'm excited to have 2 different styles of slip over to add to my rotation. So these are my 2 new yarns. As I said, I have 4 of each of these colors. So now that I have shared with you all of my new fabrics and my new yarn, I do quickly want to share with you some books that I picked up on a recent trip to the used bookstore. So let me go ahead and grab those. So the first book that I picked up at half price is The Lincoln Highway, and this is by the same author as A Gentleman in Moscow, which I have watched the show, but I have not read the book, and I really, really liked the show. And after watching the show, I picked up the short story collection from the library called A Table for Two, and I really loved that short story collection. So knowing that I really enjoyed the show, A Gentleman in Moscow, and then I really loved these stories in A Table for Two, I was excited to pick this one up. I think this might be his most recent one, and it sounds like a bit of a road trip adventure story. Let me see. Yeah, it's set in the 50s in the US, and the Lincoln Highway references the first highway that went from New York City all the way to the West Coast. So you can see that. I love a book that starts with a map. I really enjoy a road trip story. And as I said, I really liked his collection of short stories. I found them to be really smart, but also really funny and compassionate. And I have a feeling this is going to be quite the page turner. So I'm excited about this one. I also picked up The Heart's Invisible Furies by John Boyne. And I actually have already finished this one. It's quite a brick of a book. But I got a cold over the weekend right after going to the bookstore. I started to not feel great, and so I spent a good chunk of the weekend on the couch reading this book, and it was very, very quick to get through. I was really, really invested. I think in the first 50 pages, I was like, okay, I really care about these people. I want to know what's going to happen next. And I am definitely a sucker for Irish literature or books that are set in Ireland and written by Irish writers. That's something that has always really appealed to me. And I also love a story that goes basically from birth to death through someone's life. I think they're fascinating. I love to see the way that someone changes throughout their life and seeing all of the things that they experience from like a personal perspective, but also from a historical perspective. I think it's really, really fascinating. And this book was so beautiful. It made me laugh many times. It brought me close to tears. And I definitely recommend it if you are also interested in Ireland and Irish writers and enjoy sort of a sweeping family saga sort of story. I typically do, and this one was really, really good. I gave it 5 stars on Goodreads. I would say that there are definitely some trigger warnings. If you're interested in reading it, maybe look those up so you know what you're getting yourself into. Definitely some sensitive topics, but really beautifully written. I definitely want to read more of this author's work. So I also picked up the Poisonwood Bible by Barbara Kingsolver. I have read Demon Copperhead. I believe that's the only book that I have read of this author's. And Demon Copperhead is also a very thick, very long novel that's kind of a sweeping story of someone's childhood, much different setting. It was set in kind of the Appalachian area in the US, a very impoverished area in the US. It talks a lot about the opioid crisis. But Demon Copperhead was a really, really great book. And so I knew that I wanted to pick up the Poisonwood Bible at some point, and I saw it at half price, so I brought it home with me. This one actually, I believe, is set in the 50s as well. The first novel that I mentioned was set in the 50s. But yeah, this one is about a Baptist kind of evangelical family that go to the Congo in the 50s, and it's supposed to be really beautiful and really impactful, and based on my experience of reading Demon Copperhead, I think I'm going to really enjoy her writing again in this setting. So this one also spans 3 decades of a family in post-colonial Africa, and that sounds right up my alley. Again, I love a sweeping novel, I love multi-generational novels, and I've read a few books set in Africa, but I haven't read a ton, and so this is going to be a really enjoyable read as well, I hope. So the last 2 novels are both by Jonathan Franzen, and I have read quite a few of Franzen's novels and really enjoyed them. I loved the corrections, and Purity was really good. So I picked up, I believe, his 2nd novel. It was published in '92, and honestly, I don't know how it kind of slipped past me when I was reading several of his works. I just haven't read this one yet. So I picked it up because I know that I like his later work, and I think it would be fun to read one of his earlier novels. It's set in Boston in the US, and I believe it has something to do with earthquakes. And yeah, I don't know anything about it. I'm excited to read it just because I like the author and it's one of his earlier works. I think that'll be a good one. And then I also picked up by Franzen Crossroads, and I believe this is one of his most recent, if not his most recent. So this was published in 2021. So this is set in the 70s, and I believe the entire novel takes place on a single day, which I think is really interesting. Something that I think that Franzen does really well is write about families and kind of family dynamics, and there's a lot of social commentary, there's a lot of like historical and cultural stuff thrown in there as well, and it's been a while since I've read one of his novels, and so I thought it would be fun to pick this one up. It sounds very different than Strong Motion, but I think I'm really going to enjoy this one. Yeah, it says a tour de force of interwoven perspectives and sustained suspense, its action largely unfolding on a single winter day. Crossroads is the story of a Midwestern family at a pivotal moment of moral crisis. So I'm really excited to jump into this one too. So that was a little bit of a chatty one. I hope that this was fun to watch. If you made it to the end, thank you so much for watching and spending some time with me today. I am really excited about the spring season that we are entering. I'm really looking forward to more sunshine and sewing and knitting warmer weather garments, as well as getting into all of those books that I picked up recently. I'm feeling really hopeful for a new season, and I need to leave behind the winter and the cold and all of the colds that we've been experiencing this season and get into new and hopeful things. I will continue to share what I'm making with you guys. So thank you again for watching. I hope that you're all doing really, really well. Let me know in the comments below what you're excited to work on, or maybe a book that you've read recently that you recommend. I always really appreciate book recommendations as well. I will chat with you guys soon in the next one. Bye.